Auto wrenches are fun to clean up. This one had the Transcript logo. The jaws looked pretty good. It hadn't seen much use as a hammer. And it was straight. I found this on eBay. It's from 1927. I'm going to read some from it as I work on the Ford wrench. Flivver was a slang term used for Ford Model Ts. Model Ts were also called Tin Lizzies or just Lizzies. Do you have much trouble with your Lizzie? Trouble? Say I couldn't have more if I was married to the blame thing. In order to get one of these wrenches apart, you have to grind away the stakes holding the pin in. I knocked the pin in more to give me some room. Then I used a diamond bit to grind out the stakes. Here's a close-up of the staking. And here's the other one ground away. The teacher had been telling her class about the rhinoceros family. Now name some things that are very dangerous to get near to and have horns. Flivvers, promptly answered 6 children at once. Once the staking was ground away, there was nothing holding the pin in. I wrapped the wrench sharply on the vise to use the pin's inertia to force it out. Come on. Machinery seems almost endowed with intelligence. That's right, replied Farmer Corntassel. Sometimes I catch myself using the same language to our flivver that I use to the mule. Here's the parts laid out. The knurling was in good shape on the adjust nut. Looks like a critter had been living inside the wrench. It can be difficult to remove all of the rust on the inside of the dynamic jaw, so I soaked everything in evaporust. Here's the parts after an overnight soak in evaporust, rinsed in water, and coated with WD-40. The dynamic jaw had been painted black on the inside. If you're driving an automobile, there's no use trying to pass a Ford, because there's always another one just ahead. Here's what I started with, and here's the other half after the 80 grit belt. I had to remove quite a bit of material to get below the pitting. A part of a noted magician set is to make a horse vanish. That's nothing, though. Look at Henry Ford. Here's the parts after the 120 grit belt. Press Dispatch reports that a jinxed flivver in Newton, Kansas broke the arms of 4 persons who attempted to crank it, all within 1 week. That's what comes of crossing a bicycle with a mule. Here's the wrench after the coarse conditioning belt. And after the medium conditioning belt. The Ford USA had lost a lot of definition after all of my sanding. I ended up adding some JB Weld and reshaping the letters with a diamond burr. I didn't do a perfect job, but I think I improved the lettering. The teacher asked the class, if a man saves $2 a week, how long will it take him to save 1,000? The boy at the head of the class responded, he never would, ma'am. After he got to $200, he'd buy a flivver. I decided to go with a matte finish on the wrench. I went over everything with my homemade maroon Scotch-Brite wheel in my Dremel. And I added some bluing. Squire asked Constable Slackputter, the well-known sleuth of Petunia, what would you do to a feller who confessed he was driving his Ford at the rate of 45 miles an hour? Fine him for exaggeration, snapped old Squire Peavy. Okay, let me take you back to what this Ford wrench looked like in the beginning. And here it is now. I painted the lettering blue. I restaked the hole for the pin to retain it. I found a chart online for maker's marks on Ford tools. The M with no circle or diamond indicates this wrench was made by the Mansell Company out of Buffalo, New York. In 1926, Ford changed to a hollow square drive drain plug on the rear axle differential of the Model T. This plug was also used on Model A's and other models up to 1948. Remember, son, Garfield drove mules on a towpath, and Lincoln split rails. I know, Dad, but say, did any of these presidents ever crank a cold flivver in a blizzard for half an hour before he discovered that he didn't have any gasoline? I had fun cleaning up this old Ford wrench. Reshaping the Ford USA lettering was a challenge. I also enjoyed paging through the Ford joke book. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. The Ford is my auto, I shall not want another. It maketh me lie down in mud puddles. It destroyeth my soul. It leadeth me in the paths of ridicule for its name's sake. Yea, though I ride through the valleys, I am towed up the hills. It anointeth my face with oil, my radiator runneth over. Surely, if this thing followeth me all the days of my life, I will dwell in the poorhouse forever.